Alright, settle in. Grab your drink, get comfortable, because what I'm about to tell you, this ain't your average love story. Now, this is the kind of story that will make you pause this video, stare at the ceiling, and think, no way, no freaking way. This is the story of Ryuto Kageyama, and trust me, by the time I'm done talking, you're gonna feel something you didn't expect to feel tonight. Let's go. Part 1. The boy who didn't know he was cursed. Picture this. Tokyo. 2019. Late autumn. The kind of night where the air bites your skin and the neon lights bleed into the fog like something out of a painting nobody asked for. Ryuto Kageyama is 24 years old. Sharp jaw, dark eyes that look like they've seen too much and felt too little. He's got this energy about him, calm on the outside, like still water, but underneath, there's a current, something restless, something hungry. He works at a mid-level marketing firm in Shinjuku. Nothing flashy, nothing glamorous. He shows up, does his job, goes home to his apartment, a small, cold one-bedroom that smells like instant ramen and regret, and he sleeps. That's it. That's the routine. Now here's the thing most people didn't know about Ryuto, and I mean most people, even his closest friends, even his co-workers who'd known him for 3 years. Ryuto didn't talk about his family. Not once, not ever. You'd bring up the holidays and he'd change the subject so smooth you wouldn't even realize it happened. Someone asks, hey, what about your parents? And suddenly Ryuto's laughing about something else, deflecting like a pro, like he'd been practicing that move his whole life. Because he had been. See, the Kageyama name in certain circles, certain old circles, wasn't just a name, it was a warning. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's rewind just a little. Ryuto's grandmother, his father's mother, her name was Yuki Kageyama. And Yuki was the kind of woman people whispered about in the same breath they crossed themselves. Not because she was evil, not because she was cruel, because she was right. Every single time Yuki Kageyama opened her mouth and spoke about someone's future, it came true. Every single time. She predicted her neighbor's husband would leave her 3 days before it happened. She predicted a fire in the district, the weeks before the warehouse burned down and took half a block with it. She predicted her own son's marriage would be built on sand, and sure enough, Ryuto's parents divorced when he was 7 and his mother vanished like smoke in the wind. Never called, never wrote, gone. People in the old neighborhood called it a gift. Yuki called it a curse. And here's the part that keeps me up at night when I think about this story. Yuki didn't just predict the future, she attracted it. Every tragedy, every heartbreak, every moment of devastation that touched the Kageyama bloodline. It didn't just happen to them, it was drawn to them, like a magnet. Like the universe looked at the Kageyama family and said, yeah, you're the ones. You're gonna feel everything, the worst of it, all of it. And the worst part, the absolute worst part, it always started with love. Yuki told this to Ryuto once. He was maybe 10 or 11, sitting on her porch in the countryside eating mochi she'd made by hand, and she looked at him, really looked at him. The way only old people can, like they're reading every layer of your soul at once. And she said, Ryuto, listen to me carefully. He looked up, mouth full of rice cake. Love is where the curse begins. For us, for every Kageyama. The moment we love someone, truly, deeply love someone, that's when the door opens. And once it opens, boy, you cannot close it. He didn't understand. He was 10. What did he know about love? But he remembered it, every word. Locked it somewhere deep in his chest like a scar he couldn't see, but could always feel. Yuki died when Ryuto was 16, peacefully, in her sleep, and 2 days later, Ryuto's father, her son, drove his car off a bridge, not by accident. So yeah, by the time Ryuto is 24, living in that cold apartment in Shinjuku, he's built walls, thick ones, the kind you don't build unless you have to, the kind that say, nothing gets in, nothing gets close. Nothing hurts me again. And for a while, it worked. Until the night everything changed. Until the night he met her. Part 2. The girl who walked into his world like a bomb. Her name was Sana Ishikawa. And I need you to understand something before I describe her. I've been telling stories for a long time. 50 years of writing. 50 years of putting characters on the page, in front of audiences, in theaters, on screens, and in all that time, I've written maybe 3 characters that felt truly, genuinely alive. Sana was one of them. She wasn't just beautiful. I mean, yeah, she was. Dark hair that fell like silk over one shoulder. Eyes the color of honey when the light hit them right. A laugh that could fill a room and make everyone in it forget what they were saying. But that's not what made her dangerous. What made Sana dangerous was the way she saw people. Not the surface, not the mask, not the version of yourself you show the world. The real version, the broken one, the one hiding underneath. She saw that. It was a Friday night. One of those company events Ryuto had to attend but desperately wanted to leave. A rooftop bar in ROPPONGI. Too loud. Too many people pretending to be happy. Too much expensive alcohol that tasted like it was trying to hard. Ryuto was standing by the railing, looking out at the city, nursing a whiskey he hadn't actually wanted to order, when he felt someone lean against the railing next to him. He glanced over, and there she was, Sana, looking out at the skyline like she was memorizing it, like it owed her something. They didn't talk right away. That's what I liked about this story. There was no cheesy pickup line, no forced introduction. They just existed next to each other for a while, comfortable, like to strangers who somehow already knew each other. Then Sana said, without looking at him, "I still on the city. You're the guy who never talks about his family." Ryuto's blood went cold. He turned to her. "Excuse me." She finally looked at him. Smiled. Not a smirk, not a tease, a genuine, almost sad smile. "I'm not judging. I just noticed things. And you, Ryuto Kageyama, you carry something heavy, something you've been carrying alone for a really long time." He stared at her, jaw tight, heart hammering in a way it hadn't in years. "How do you know my name?" he asked. "Everyone in this company knows your name," she said simply. "You're just the only one who doesn't seem to know why you're here." She took a sip of her drink, looked back at the skyline. "For the record, my name's Sana." And just like that, the door opened. Part 3. The Fall. Now listen. I gotta be real with you here. What happened between Ryuto and Sana over the next 3 months? It wasn't slow. It wasn't gradual. It wasn't that cute movie thing where they slowly fall in love over coffee dates and long walks. No, it was fast. It was violent. It was the kind of connection that hits you like a freight train and leaves you breathless on the ground wondering what the hell just happened to your life. Within 2 weeks, they were inseparable. Within a month, Ryuto was doing something he hadn't done since he was a little kid. He was happy. Like, genuinely, embarrassingly, can't stop smiling happy. The kind of happy that makes your friends look at you weird, because they've never seen that expression on your face before. And Sana, God, Sana made him feel things he'd spent his entire adult life running from. She made him laugh. She made him cry. Actually cry, for the first time in years. One night when he told her about his father, she held him in that moment. Didn't say a word, just held him. And something in Ryuto's chest, that locked door, that wall he'd spent a decade building, started to crack. He started to love her. Not casually, not comfortably. He loved her the way a drowning man loves oxygen. Desperately, completely, with everything he had. And Sana? She loved him back, or at least, that's what it looked like. She was there, every single day. She was there. She knew when he was stressed before he said it. She'd show up at his apartment with food when he forgot to eat. She'd trace her fingers along his back in the dark and whisper things that made him feel like he was the only person on the planet who mattered. She made him feel seen. After a lifetime of hiding, of walls, of distance, someone finally saw him, and he gave her everything. Everything. He told her about his grandmother, about the curse, about his father, about the fear that lived in his chest like a second heartbeat, the terror that loving someone would be the thing that destroyed them both. Sana listened to all of it, nodded, held his hand, and then she said the words that sealed everything. "Ryuto, I'm not afraid of any curse, and neither should you be. The only thing that can destroy us is if we let fear win." He believed her. God help him. He believed her. By month 2, they were practically living together. By month 3, Ryuto had done the unthinkable. He'd introduced Sana to his life, not just his apartment, his friends, his routine, his heart, the real one, the unguarded one. He dropped every wall, and he was happier than he'd ever been in his life. But here's the thing about happiness, folks. The higher you climb, the harder the fall. And Ryuto Kageyama, he was about to fall from a very high place. Part 4. The crack in the glass that started small, the way these things always do. A night Sana canceled plans last minute. Said she was tired. Ryuto thought nothing of it. Then another night, and another. Then he started noticing her phone. Now, Ryuto wasn't the jealous type. He trusted Sana, or at least, he wanted to. But something felt off. a vibration in the air, a shift in the atmosphere that he couldn't quite name, but couldn't ignore either. One night, she left her phone on the kitchen counter while she showered, face down, but Ryuto saw the notification light flash. He didn't look. He didn't. Not that night. But the next morning, when she was still sleeping, her phone buzzed again, and this time, the screen lit up just long enough for him to see a name he recognized. Kenji Murakami. Now, here's where I need you to pay close attention, because this is where the story gets layered. Kenji Murakami wasn't just some random guy. Kenji was Ryuto's business partner, his best friend, the guy who'd been there through everything, the loneliness, the grief, the slow climb back to something resembling a normal life. Kenji was the one person Ryuto trusted almost as much as Sana. Almost. So when Ryuto saw that name on Sana's phone, he didn't panic. He told himself there was an explanation. Maybe it was work-related. Maybe Kenji had reached out about something. People talk. It happens. He buried it. But the seed was planted. For 2 weeks, Ryuto watched. Not obsessively. Not like some psycho stalker, but carefully. The way you watch when something doesn't feel right. Your gut is screaming at you, but your heart is begging you to shut up. He noticed things. Sana would leave the room with certain calls. Came in. Kenji would sometimes avoid eye contact when the three of them were together. Little things. Tiny things. Things that individually meant nothing, but together painted a picture Ryuto desperately didn't want to see. And then one Thursday night, everything came crashing down. Ryuto came home early from work. Bad day. Terrible meeting. He just wanted to shower, eat something, and pass out. He opened the door to his apartment. The lights were off. He heard a sound from the bedroom. A laugh. Sana's laugh. But it wasn't the laugh she used with him. It was different, lighter, looser. The laugh of someone who was relaxed. Someone who felt safe. Someone who was exactly where they wanted to be. Ryuto's hand froze on the doorknob. He stood there for maybe 10 seconds. Maybe 30. Time does weird things in moments like that. Stretches out like taffy. Slow and thick and suffocating. Then he pushed the door open. I'm not going to describe what he saw in graphic detail. You can fill in the blanks. You're smart enough. You've seen enough movies, read enough stories. What I will tell you is this. It wasn't just Sana. It was Kenji. And it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a what-time thing. It wasn't some drunken accident. It was planned. Ryuto saw it in the way they moved together. The ease. The familiarity. The way Sana's hand rested on Kenji's chest like it belonged there. Like it had been there for a long time. He stood in the doorway. Silent. And Sana looked up. And for one brief, horrifying second, Ryuto saw something in her eyes that he would never forget for the rest of his life. It wasn't guilt. It wasn't shame. It wasn't surprise. It was calculation. Like she was running numbers. Like she was already figuring out what to say next. What move to make. How to play this. And in that moment, Ryuto understood something that shattered him. This wasn't an accident. This was never an accident. Part 5. The truth behind the curtain. What happened next is the part of this story that I spent months trying to figure out. The part that kept me up at 3 in the morning, staring at notes on my wall, trying to make sense of something that felt almost too perfect to be coincidence. Ryuto left that night. Didn't say a word, didn't scream, didn't throw things. He just turned around, walked out, and drove to a hotel downtown. And over the next 48 hours, while he sat in a dark room with a bottle of whiskey and a phone he refused to turn on, Kenji started calling. Not to apologize, to talk. On the second night, Ryuto answered, and Kenji, to his credit, or maybe it was guilt, or maybe it was something else entirely, told him the truth. Not all of it, not yet, but enough. She came to me first, Kenji said. His voice was steady, almost clinical. 6 weeks ago, before you even started getting serious, Ryuto's grip tightened on the phone. She approached me at the company mixer. The same night she met you, she knew exactly who you were. Ryuto, she chose you. On purpose. What are you talking about? A pause. I don't know the full story, but I know she's not who she says she is. I know the name Ishikawa isn't her real name, and I know she's connected to people, old money, old families, who have a very specific interest in the Kageyama bloodline. The phone almost slipped from Ryuto's hand. The Kageyama bloodline. He repeated, barely a whisper. Yeah, Kenji said. I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry. I didn't know until it was too late. She had me wrapped around her finger before I even realized what was happening. But I found out, and when I did, I couldn't just sit on it. Ryuto hung up and sat in the dark, and for the first time in his adult life, he didn't run. He thought. Over the next week, Ryuto dug deep, like his life depended on it, because in a way, he was starting to realize it might. He hired a private investigator, someone discreet, someone who knew how to find things that people didn't want found. What came back made his blood run cold. Sana Ishikawa, or rather, the woman who called herself Sana Ishikawa, was actually Sana Takahiro, the daughter of one of the oldest and wealthiest families in rural Japan, a family with deep, ancient roots, a family that had, for generations, practiced something that most modern people would laugh off: spiritual manipulation. The Takahiro family believed, genuinely, fanatically believed, in the power of bloodlines, in the idea that certain families carried energy. Certain families carried access to forces that most people couldn't see or touch, and the Kageyama bloodline, the Takahiro family, had been tracking it for decades. See, Yuki's gift, her curse, the ability to predict the future, to attract fate itself, that wasn't just a family quirk. According to the Takahiros, it was something rare, something powerful, something that could be harvested, and the way you harvest it, through love, through emotional connection so deep and so genuine that the cursed person opens up completely, drops every defense, lets someone in all the way. And when that happens, when someone from the Kageyama bloodline truly, completely loves another person, the energy that Yuki carried, the thing that attracted fate, the thing that made the curse work, it transfers, not to the Kageyama, to the person they love. Ryuto sat with that information for a long time, and then he understood. Love is where the curse begins, his grandmother had said. She wasn't warning him about heartbreak. She was warning him about this. The curse didn't destroy the Kageyamas because they loved wrong. It destroyed them because loving them made them a target. Every tragedy, every loss, every devastating moment in his family's history, it was random. It was engineered by people like the Takahiros, people who knew what the Kageyama bloodline carried and wanted to take it for themselves. His mother leaving? Engineered. His father's death? Engineered. And now Sana, this woman he poured his soul into, showing up at exactly the right moment, saying exactly the right things, making him feel exactly what he needed to feel to drop every single wall. Engineered. All of it.